Hi, I'm Nergish Wadia-Austin, and I am a business management consultant and trainer to the hair, beauty, wellness, spa, male grooming, and nail industries. I teach leaders of salons, spas, and barbershops how to manage their business. I teach them leadership skills, how to increase customer spend, and pretty much any aspect of running their businesses, including reducing expenses, etc. I also teach salon professionals how to run their columns as a business. My contact details appear at the end of each video. Today, I'm speaking to Marcus Allen, an international salon management professional and the former global vice president of the Refinery, a premium male grooming business here in London. All that remains to be said is, welcome, Marcus, and thank you for your time today.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for asking.
Thanks. So, Marcus, let's dive into this conversation straight away. What sort of top tips would you give a premium barbershop owner that's watching this episode? What top tips would you give them for running a successful premium male grooming business?
Well, I think they fall into really kind of the same thing that's with running any business. It's really kind of understanding, especially at the premium market, you generally have to offer more. So right. More means more cost, more time, more training. All those things really kind of increase the cost of really kind of doing business. So it's understanding the margin, understanding really kind of, a lot of times I always began on how I'm going to pay someone. Because I'm asking them to do something in a way that's going to be different and more than anyone else. So first off, how am I going to pay them? How am I going to get that level of income to them? And then I work backwards. Then I find out how much all the other additional pieces going to be. And then once I find all that out, then I understand what I need to charge.
Superb. So that's a top tip on pricing. That's fantastic because we've delved right into that. So how to get pricing right at a premium male grooming business. Any other maybe a couple of tips of how to run it successfully?
Well, the key thing is you have to ask yourself the fundamental question is what makes you premium? So that's really going to be that addition. If you look at the definition for premium, sure. You know, it's the add-on, the additional value of something. So when something's at that level, you have to ask yourself is that one, am I offering those services? But two, is my client perceiving that as a value? And really sometimes we're so into our business that we are really kind of, you heard the old adage, are you running your business or you're inside your business? That the real facet is that you have to ask externally. You have to really kind of have people give you that feedback and also you have to have a thick enough skin to listen because it's hard that when nobody puts in more time than the owner. And guess what? That's the burden of being in ownership. Yep. And if you can't hear what people have to say, and it's not about your vision, it's not about the things you want to have, but if people don't perceive that's a value, then one or two things you have to really kind of take out. It's a great story years ago. United Airlines asked their executive team to cut costs, and they couldn't do it. So they ended up asking the whole airline and offered a 10% bonus for anybody that could come up with an idea that would allow them to cut costs. And the person who won was the cleaner of the plane. He said that nobody ate the lettuce that the tuna came in. It saved the company, this is in the 70s, $250,000 it saved them. And that idea came from somebody who was not in a position to make a change, but yet someone listened. And it's that kind of leadership that we have to really kind of, in any time, but more importantly now, we have to actually say and listen, is this working for my staff, the business, and the customer? And if one of those three aren't working, it's time to make the adjustment.
Marcus, this is music to my ears because about 3 days ago, I was asked from outside the industry, the telecoms industry, to do an interview about they were talking about using technology correctly in our industry and whether we actually fully utilize it. And one of the things I said is, I'm so fed up of companies asking for feedback and reviews. And then I feel like they take that feedback and review and it goes into someone's drawer somewhere saying they've tick boxed that. no one's actually listening to it and doing something to improve the customer service with it, having asked the customer 100 times for that review. And I think you've just made that point so clear. Fantastic. Thank you.
You are?
Right. So what's the fundamental difference between, and I know that you are a business management consultant in our industry, both in ladies and gents. So I'd like to ask you, what is the fundamental difference between running a ladies salon and a gents salon, a premium level salon, if there is any?
Yes and no. So the no is that it's the same. It's people, margin, product, clients. It's exactly the same as with all businesses.
Sure.
Where it is different is that I find that hairdressing is we,
yes,
and I find barbering is me.
Right.
So
Could you explain that a little further?
Yeah, because someone in the barbering industry has kind of just raised their head going, what? So what it is that in traditional hairdressing, there is, in female hairdressing, you're always working with a lot of people. Assistants, colorists, stylists. There's always connecting relationships. And even when you're an assistant, you train very, very differently. You deal with multiple people. There's a whole different level of skill sets and things that you have to do. And also, female hairdressing takes a much longer to build that skill set. So in that, the level of confidence, the ability, all those things are different. When you look at male grooming or barbering, the skill set is shorter, what they need to learn. They really kind of go much, much quicker in where they do, but they've never had that kind of working relationship because it's really kind of them, the customer, and with most barbershops, there's not even a receptionist. So it's really just them and the customer. So it's me and you. I'm doing this, and a lot of barbering is about I'm a great barber. All the guys are working together. There's very rarely females in barbering. The majority are men. So there's a whole different dynamic. Even me coming from the dispensary or the back room in a female salon, the conversation and the back conversation in a men's grooming, very, very different. So those dynamics are different. And that's really kind of something that was a big adjustment to me because I had always worked in the we environment. And now I'm learning how to work in the me environment.
God, that, you've put it in such a way that it reminds me that that was, I think, the biggest change for me when I had to actually take on the barbershop at Harrods when I was very young. And I didn't recognize that was the fundamental difference between running the ladies' salon upstairs and then having to take on, I guess, the running of the barbershop downstairs. And, it makes perfect sense now upon reflection. And I had to adjust. I just didn't realize that was the actual attitude. But you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. How wonderful. So the difference between going in at a barbershop level and then going in at a male grooming business, a premium male grooming business. Could you tell me sort of, I know what the fundamental differences are, but the introduction of beauty in the way that it was introduced at the Refinery, which is an example of a premium male grooming business, it's prolific. I mean, the services in beauty that you ended up introducing or that have been in that business, you're not just touching on beauty. It is full on male grooming beauty.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really kind of, so I think it goes back to really kind of what do you want to be?
Right.
So, right now I see in really kind of industries all over, no matter what industry, the middle's gone.
Right.
So you're either at generally at the higher end or you're at the lower end. And when I mean lower end, I don't mean that that's a bad thing. It's just a part of the market.
Correct.
So, I know great barbershops that charge a tenner. I mean, the guys are great. The salon's a great environment, but that's where it is. Correct. So when you look at the mid-range, that's the hardest because people have to distinguish that value between the two. And they need to see it clearly. It's kind of the difference between going to a budget hotel and a 5-star. There's a clear difference. The funny thing is that when you're in the middle, people get the most despondent because they pick out all the things that it should be when really it's not.
Correct.
It's kind of like that whole exercise years ago. describe to me, we used to do this exercise, describe to me a 500-pound haircut.
Yes.
People list all these things on it. And then when you start taking the money away, okay, what would be a 400? Would be a 300? A lot of the things don't fall away.
Correct.
It's not until you get to the really low end that people are willing to sacrifice the things they think they should get to be able to have that. So the question, I think, is really asking yourself, what do you want to be? And then asking yourself, Floyd Kenyatta taught me this 25 years ago.
Right.
The two ways you can charge more money is it's location and presentation.
Brilliant.
So in those two things, you look at it. The only thing that you have a difference in location is when you become boutique.
Right.
Boutique really still has that presentation there, but doesn't require the location that you need with others. So Louis Vuitton, all the premium kind of fashion brands are always generally within a location that really kind of, they serve each other. They don't stand alone. But yet you have a place like Matches, which is a fashion. They can be anywhere because they're offering really kind of a presentation and an offering that really is great because it's not really close to those other locations.
Got it. Fantastic. So could I ask, what were the most unusual beauty services, or just give us an idea of the type of beauty that's very popular in a premium male grooming service? I mean, I know the answers will involve some sort of hair depilation service, either it's waxing or threading or whatever, and laser removal, etc. But the most popular three that you found in the premium male grooming sector.
So here's the one that really kind of surprised me. It was clippering, intimate clippering, intimate waxing.
Yes.
And you have to understand is that our target market is really 35 up.
Yep.
So, and what's interesting is that up, we're talking about 60 and up getting these services.
Yes. I can believe it, basically.
You would never, ever think, and this is driven by partners.
Right.
Generally, partners are driving this thing because there's a part of kind of taking care of yourself that really, someone who does these things by association also takes care of other things as well. So, when you look at things, the other thing we looked at is that we started to really kind of about 18 months ago, focusing on those treatments which were current or had current success in the female area, and then how to bring those in. So micro needling, the micro shaving, all those services we're bringing in. We brought in chiropody. We're bringing in Botox, fillers. We're bringing all that in because really what it comes down to is this. We have a relationship with our customer, and that customer, every customer is looking for a relationship in which they can easily make a choice. And when somebody has to start something new, you want to find something new, ask any of your team to go into another salon and get not a blow dry, a haircut. And watch the fear come over their face.
Immediately. Because they'll just go, I don't know the
exactly.
hair. Absolutely.
But we're asking the customer to make that choice on all these services. We think that it's only through the relationship and through them trusting that recommendation that allows them to do it. And that's why things like, and always in the industry, and female hairdressing, it's nails and blow dry, which are the introduction.
Yep.
And barbering, in the beauty side, it's going to be male grooming. It's going to be manicures and pedicures, massage, facial. All those things are non-invasive. Once they build a relationship, it's done.
Of course, because they're there for life.
They're there to get whatever. And as long as you give them the results, men are results driven.
Absolutely.
They want to know the results. They want to know the facts. Don't tell me it makes you feel good. Let me know that it's going to do this, this, and this.
Correct.
And you have them.
Yeah. I think you've almost answered my next question, is how easy or difficult is it to sell retail products, beauty products, hair care systems to gents?
The great thing is that there's no, it's either yes or no.
Correct.
And that conversation has to be, it should never happen in any salon. It should never happen at the end.
Correct.
There should be information happening all through it. You spend 45 minutes, it takes you less than 60 seconds to tell somebody about what you're using, even less than that. It's giving that information, setting that foundation, because here's the thing. Exercise years ago, I used to say, imagine that you can give as much product to the client as you want for free. What would you give them?
Yes.
They said, I give them everything.
Yes.
Okay. well, here, your job is to inform them. Just give them the information.
Correct.
Ask them, let them know what they need. Ask them what they'd like. And if they say no, it's over with.
Fine, that's
This
not
idea,
yours. Yeah, I get it.
you've heard this for years. I'm not a salesperson. Everything is sales. You sell the haircut, you sell your service, you sell the salon. Everything is sales.
Of course.
Everything is marketing. And you know by now, with your new love of social media, it's all marketing. It's all marketing.
It is.
Nonstop, every minute of the day, people are being told a story, and that's what you have to do. Your job and responsibility. So men are easy. You give them the information, tell them what to use, and here's where it's key.
Yes.
If it does what it says,
Yes.
and you do that, then from then on, they'll buy whatever
They'll
you
buy
want.
it. They'll
Yeah.
absolutely right.
Yeah.
And I found that in my travels, selling personal experience, actually selling product to men is simpler, much simpler, because it's literally just saying, this is the look you want. In order to get this, this is what you will need. Finished.
Done.
And it's just done. But isn't it strange how that just doesn't come across, and yet it's men doing the barbering, and it's how they buy. They basically, you know, I generally explain it in a way that says that you go to the Apple store and you want to talk to the Apple genius because you know they're the expert. That's why the guys go there. So they're coming to you because they can't cut their own hair. They see you as the expert. They're going to listen. All you have to do is just let them know that you have the knowledge. Anyway, perfect. It's absolutely right what you're saying. And Marcus, absolutely beautifully explained. Thank you very much. So tell me, Marcus, you said you were saying one of the surprising services for you in beauty was what?
So the intimate side, the intimate waxing, intimate laser, and intimate clippering. So what clippering is for people who may not experience it is that it's basically taking a clipper with guards and really kind of shaping men's area.
Got it.
Which is, is incredibly popular during this time of year because traditionally people are going on the beach.
Holidays.
So, really, and clippering is one of those things, it's not invasive, it's non-painful. So you start off with a bit of clippering. Then clippering turns into a little bit of waxing. And for those people that don't want to, who are cash rich sometimes, or the phrase cash rich and time poor, laser is one of those great areas because it means that I can do it over the next period of time and then I don't have to ever do it again.
Correct. How wonderful. So that was the surprising part. So let's go on to the next question that I have for you. And I think it's kind of important because we are basically, I think, going to find a shortage of kids or are finding a shortage of kids choosing hair and beauty and male grooming as a career option in school.
Sure.
Because, I mean, a recent conversation at Prime Minister's Question Time showed the sort of ignorance, as far as I'm concerned, about our beauty industry, and the fact that they spoke very badly about it. And I think it just set off a hue and cry in our industry, and rightfully so. But what are we to do with this notion that, for the lack of a better word, I'm going to be direct. If you're stupid, go into hair and beauty. Basically, if you don't have any kind of academic bent, which is nonsense, frankly, it just is. But what I would love to ask you is that going forward, what should the industry be doing to attract people into male grooming as a actual real career? Over to you.
So here's the issue. Gen Z is the most educated, most connected, most generation of our time.
Yes.
They're also being given messages which through Instagram, through Facebook, through every avenue in which information is being delivered, they're being given a message that, look, find what you do that makes you happy. You need to have at least 3 to 5 ways of making money. And most of that needs to be not physical. So it means that you have to be able to kind of make money while you sleep.
Of course.
So all those things move away from the physicality of service.
Yes, of service.
On every level.
Correct.
So the answer to the question is, I have no idea. But what I do know is this, and this is the one key thing. It's the famous phrase from a movie, which is, build it and they will come.
Got it.
So 15 years ago,
Field of Dreams.
Yes, exactly. 15 years ago, I understood that things were changing within people. And I also took a look at my personal experience, and then I also looked at models throughout the world. There's a guy called Van Michaels who has salons in Atlanta. He's the most successful salon owner in the world. He's phenomenal. The guy's won every award. He's been in business for 30 years, and still to this day, he makes probably the best profit of any salon.
Got it.
He had a program. He traveled all over the United States doing education, training, and people wanted to work for him. So he started a program called New Talents. And new talent meant that no matter what your level of experience was, you had to come into his salon at a base level. You had to go to training each week, which if you didn't have your models, you didn't train. You actually lost your job.
Sure.
You had to do the models, and you had to work in the smaller salon, and you did it at a reduced price. If you couldn't build your business at the reduced price, what would make you think you'd go into the main salon?
Correct.
So basically, it was a way in which to kind of weed people out. So I started the program in our business at Urban Retreat called New Talent. And this is what we did. We reversed it. I fought with everybody in the industry. Nobody agreed with what I was doing. It was the biggest battle I had. And what I did was I thought, great, I want to find out, I want the skill set first. I want to assess them first. Every other business does it. Football players, if you can't dribble the ball and you can't run a certain amount of time, you don't do it. So the first thing we looked at was that first, could they shampoo, build a relationship, and could they sell retail? They couldn't do those things. I wasn't interested. Then the next thing is we taught them how to blow dry. What blow drying teaches you is how to actually work with hair.
Handle hair,
physically.
yes. Correct.
If you can't work with the hair, then you can't blow dry. If you can't blow dry well, you can't check your haircut. You can't do haircuts. Done. So we had the program that had to blow dry. Then from blow drying, we moved up to hair up. Most people don't like to do hair up, so we got hair up. So once they passed those, they could actually go on the floor and start generating revenue.
Correct.
But more importantly, they got to get the success. They got to start doing clients. Then could they build at this cheaper price point? It was all designed to be able to give a skill, apply it, but
Get the next level.
Exactly. So the idea was that it involved people and it engaged them instead of waiting that horrible 2 to 2.5 years of shampooing, being abused by everybody, and then turn around and still not have the skill set to go on the floor.
Got it.
So then, and I only want to say this because I think this is important. So I had a colorist, a young assistant who wanted to be a colorist. I had this program for hairdressing, but I didn't have one for color.
Right.
This young girl, and I didn't have any space for colorist. So I made this program, and I called it the Stacy program. So Stacy had to get 5 models. So she had to get 3 models a day to start off with. They all had to be half head of highlights. She had to find the models. She couldn't find them within Harrods. She had to find them outside. I was making it really difficult because I wanted it to really kind of not go anywhere. So she ended up getting the models. She ended up charging 25 pounds for the highlights. That covered my cost and her day rate. And then she went from 3 to 5 to 5. And then from 5, she went to 2 days. And then from 2 days to 3 days. So she was building her own clients. Plus she went from 25 to 35, 35 to 50, 50 to 80. She was building her own client base. But what she was showing was she could market herself.
Correct.
She could do the service. She was showing all the skills that were needed. So just as she was just about to make that next jump, she said, I'm leaving. I said, why are you leaving? Is this something we did? She says, no, my partner and I found a house outside of London, and that's where I want to move.
Got it.
So, but the program worked because what it did was it gave somebody the ability, and she was able to do clients instead of being an assistant. I got revenue. I got the enthusiasm. I got a role model for the other people to say, you can be like her. So to answer your question in this long-winded way is that you have to build a program ready for them, and you have to be able to sit down with them and tell the story.
Got it.
This is how I'm going to train you. This is how you're going to make the money. This is how you're going to make the money in the future. This is what your career path is. Because if you can't sell that as a story, universities do it. Google and Apple for the first time in their career are now accepting people without degrees.
Right.
Because they're looking for people to come directly through that. Why go through those 4 years of agonizing, learning things that may not be applied that I can get you now?
Correct.
So it's about really kind of designing something. You can sit down with someone and say, here's your career path with us. This is how I'm going to do it. But you have to give them much greater, they have to have achievements much quicker, and they have to be able to start to do what they want to do earlier. They're not going to wait.
Correct. But also they will have to have responsibility. Something that you covered there was they have to have the responsibility of marketing themselves, which is significantly different to when you did it all those years ago. And they can actually grow their business much quicker now.
100%. So here's the great thing. In LA, Los Angeles, if you want to get a job at a top salon, you have to have a minimum of 11,000 to 15,000 followers.
Correct.
So somebody said, that's not fair. That doesn't make any sense. Guess what? It means that 11,000 people overnight know that I've moved salons.
Correct. Absolutely. So, it made perfect sense when I heard it years ago. I think about 3 years ago, they mentioned that the salons in LA are just not even accepting people without followings. Fantastic.
It just makes sense.
Sure.
If you've got a limited amount of space, you want to make sure that you can get that filled.
Correct. I would love for I guess the UK to actually see what, you know, when they give out a chair to someone, they don't actually still see it as space that has to be filled to its maximum. I feel like they just don't, all my training surrounds the fact that, you know, it's one thing to say these hairdressers have been here a year, but if you're not teaching them how to market themselves and you're not, it basically comes down to education, because Marcus, when it's taught, they just pick up on it like absolutely ducks to water.
But guess what? If they don't pick up on it, you've just made the decision for me.
Absolutely.
We really value, thank you so much for the opportunity, but unfortunately we can't go forward.
Correct. Because this chair needs to be occupied by someone who's going to utilize it correctly. That's all they have to say.
I'm paying for it. I'm paying for it 7 days a week.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. And I guess to conclude this fabulous conversation, because it has been, I mean, the way you've explained things, and I certainly think that barbers watching, just barbers watching this last bit will actually get a sense of or an idea of how to actually guide their own clientele and how to guide their own careers and make it much more successful. So I'd like to ask you, how do barbershop owners and premium male grooming salons attract the younger customer?
So here's my my example. So I, like you, got to get those customers young, grow them over the years, bring them along the journey. That's what we have to do. So I started mystery shopping. I grabbed a lot of people within the age of 21 to 34. That was the market in which I was mystery shopping.
Got it.
Brought them to the salon, set them up, asked them to give the whole client experience of from booking online to booking through the phone, how easy, everything we have. Because we know the most important thing to a customer right now is how easy are you to use to get what they want. So after that, I spoke to everyone. And this is what they told me. Love the space. You've been in the space.
Yes.
Beautiful space.
Yeah.
Great refreshments, great kind of ambiance. The barber was great, great consultation, product recommendation on them, everything. And there were a few pieces that they kind of gave to us. We thought, that's an aha. So we went through all that, and then I asked them the kind of two questions you should really kind of ask. One, would you return? And two, was it value for money?
Yes.
And the universal answer was no. And they said no because the reason why is that it wasn't the place that they would choose to go.
Got it.
They wanted to go to more of a younger, funkier, trendy, tattoos, someone more close to them than really what we were.
Got it.
I always say I'd like to be the Soho House of barbering, that kind of more mature client.
Yeah.
We want the mature client because they're better spenders. They're greater expenders.
Correct.
So what I realized is that now my market changed. I'm looking for 35 plus. That's the market I'm looking for because that's my price point, that's my area, and that's what I'm looking for. So the question you go back to is what I said in the very beginning. Find out what the good earning is for your staff, what the price point needs to be with that. So I met this young 19-year-old kid who had a salon outside of London. It's when I was working for another brand, and we were introducing the brand to him. And his area, the average haircut was 9 pounds.
Right.
He was charging 19 pounds.
Got it.
I said, he was also charging retail. He was charging 2.5 times the cost of goods.
Okay.
And I said, why are you doing that? He says, well, I offer 10% retail to everyone who buys on the day.
Right.
And I pay the staff 10% retail. That 2.5 times pays for all that, and I still get my 50% margin.
Correct.
I said, wait, you're 19 years old. How do you know about margins? He says, my father's in wholesales.
Of course.
So what he did was he offered this thing where if you came in, you got registered to go on a trip to Amsterdam. I said, what did that cost you? He says, 300 quid. I got all these people coming in. We pick it out of a hat. It's all great. He distinctively made a difference within his area and said, I'm going to be this brand at this price. Twice the price as everyone else.
Correct.
So asking yourself, really, what do you want to be? What's it going to cost to be that? How do you assess your price to it? Do your staff on board with it and making these changes? Because guess what? You go to a Michelin star restaurant, even people in the kitchen dress the same. I'm not asking you to change your dress code, but what I'm saying is there's a brand to it.
Yeah.
And you have to step away because there are hundreds of great salons out there. There really, really are.
Yeah.
And you have to ask yourself, what's going to make that difference? So once again, you can be premium within your area, but asking yourself the questions, what do I want to be? And does the customer perceive that value? Because if they do, you're going well. If they don't, you're wasting your money, your time, and you're probably pissing your staff off.
Of course. Wow. I wouldn't want this conversation to end, but it's got to end somewhere. Marcus, what can I say? I think you were absolutely the right person to talk to on male grooming at a premium level, because you've explained it so beautifully. And I actually, as I said at the start when we were just chatting, that I think people need to pick the spot that they want to be in and then really market it and drive it correctly. And I think you've more than clarified that, and you've more than explained it beautifully. So thank you, Marcus Allen, for joining me today and giving us your valuable time. And I guess we'll speak soon. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell, and you'll get to see every conversation with every expert.